Good morning, kiddos. Welcome back to old Grandpa Coyote. Talking to you once again here from Crestone, Colorado, here on planet Earth. Man, in the Estados Unidos, the United States of America, which is a very strange place of being these days. Feels like a Nazi empire been taken over here. Kind of anchor down its hold that our leaders all run amok and so forth. But you know, that's just the sense of division that we've chosen to live in. So we see others as a threat, an enemy, an untruthful person, somebody with ill intent toward us. And it's not just the politicians. Hell, we see each other that way. Neighbors and friends and family, even brothers and sisters, husbands and wives, shit like that, can see each other as enemies and not friends. You can feel that isolated from one another. It's been a long time ago, but we actually contracted and agreed to let ourselves come here and experience this, to be these beings that we are, separate from everything. We lay at night and look up at the vastness of the sky. And we start to feel our connectedness, but at the same time, it all seems so distant and far from us. Light years. Can't even hardly conceive of a thing like that. Miles that can't even be measured. Distances so vast, so great. And it seems like there's all this empty nothingness in between. Seems like. And there's all these races and beings that might come from all of these other planets and star systems all over the place. We can better believe that's how we've chosen it. That's how we've created it. But in reality, we're still sitting there in the heart of our Mother Earth, our mother. And we're projecting out into a dream the experience of nothingness, of separation so powerful, all you can ever feel is alone. And in fear, because you're threatened by everything pretty much around you in some way. Depends on where you live. Some places are more threatening than others. But just the same, divided from, unable to see, hear, feel the sense and purpose in another. To see all as a threat to you. Even your own parents were particularly cruel and harmful to you in ways. A lot of bad things happen to people that live here in this earth that start you off feeling completely isolated, not to mention your moment of birth when you separate from your mother, go through all this squeezing, brutal pain, come out and greet the love and the cruelty and the coldness. You see, we've created the coldness. Something that can make you feel so separate from one another that you'll fight and kill, that you can hit somebody. You can feel them as that big of a threat. That threat's got to be eliminated because they're hurting me too bad. They've taken too much. They're taking it all away. They. But it's us. And you know what? This experience has come to a time of fullness, this idea of separation. So now there are those of us that are feeling it rather strongly, but all of humanity is feeling this. Sweeping changes underway. We've lived in this dream far too long now, got ourselves stuck in it, got to where we really appreciated and loved it so much that it's hard to let go of this idea of separation. The idea, the concept of unconsciousness, the idea of being nothing but a speck of dust in the wind. And that means we're kind of meaningless, and so it don't matter if we kill each other. But that's crazy. We know better. Inside, there is a consciousness arising. And as it does, what this means is we're stepping out of the dream and back into our reality, inside of ourselves first and foremost. But as we do that, as we open inside, then that experience expands, calls another to us that is kind of a match in energy to reflect yourself to you more fully, that you understand and conceive of togetherness in a way that you never have before. You can't get this making love. For all the spectacularness there, it doesn't happen. This is new as we see it. It's 125 million years old, by the way. If that makes any difference, who cares? This is new. And it might not be the person you're with. More than likely not, because usually we've chosen to be with somebody that challenges us, that doesn't agree with us too much. So we can continue the separation, suffer the pain, the misery of that, of being alone, and come to find some form of deep appreciation for the love, the consciousness, the connectedness as it returns to us. And we dissolve the conception of differing forms of beings and lives that are at enmity with each other, that each have a stake and an interest they have to stake out and protect. You know, this is how they've isolated us and made us feel alone. You know, this is how they control us in a way, but yet those beings are controlled by other beings, controlled by other beings, and there is no control. The control comes from the heart. This is a dreaming experience. We've chosen all these divisions. Us from the so-called aliens, us from every other. We've created all, I mean, look around you. Flies, mosquitoes, plants, trees, rocks, dirt, chickens, cows, dogs, horses. You know, not to mention the different sizes and shapes and colors and arrangements of people. You know, it's a vast and varied thing. And beautiful forms of expression everywhere. No matter what the eye beholds, the heart beholds it as beauty and truth. In the most tragic moments, bombs going off, bullets flying, people being as brutal as they can possibly be to one another, there is a conscious awareness of the loving effort of the beings involved. You realize if you've let yourself go that far as to where you have no feeling and you're cold inside and you can kill. Do you realize that what a trial that is to your soul? Do you know how far that takes you from the heart and how greatly that can return this heart? How, as you go through these moments, now it's August 28th, 2013, as you go through these moments of awakening and realize you have a heart and soul and that you've created a vast and unthinking, uncaring persona to live in since ancient times, and you've committed this vast cruelty against others as a motivation, as a part of the poetic beauty and harmony of life. When you begin to realize that, oh my, then we all can embrace one another and we'll never fire a weapon, drop a bomb, or even slap each other again. It's a whole different paradigm, baby, than what we've known. I remember one time I was listening to Boston Pop's orchestra. And this whole big old 220-piece orchestra, it sounded like each piece in that orchestra during this musical number. I guess you could call it music, sure didn't sound like it. It was grating on your nerves. Each piece in that orchestra was playing its own little melody, harmony, doing whatever it felt like doing, and it was nothing but painful chaos. It grated on your nerves. It made you hurt. It was so ugly, so pulling away from itself. Every instrument. You can't imagine the combination of the chaotic noise that made. And made you want to stop listening to music forever. It's almost that bad. But as you listened for 2 or 3 minutes, suddenly there was a little harmony, a little thread of harmony throughout all that musical chaos. Right down the middle of it, kind of twisting like a little snake. You know, it was just fucking mind-blowing. Poetic as all get out, man. In the midst of all that chaos. Well, that's our truth. I'm going to see if I can find that piece of music. I might even post it on this, you know. I'm going to see if I can find that and get it up there anyway. Post it on both YouTube and Facebook. Because it's the truth, expressed harmonically. It shows us who we are and how it is we've chosen to live in this illusion of cruelty and chaos. To experience it as innocent baby beings. To be strong enough then in that innocence that we could go through anything. Both the masters of cruelty and the victims of cruelty. We could go through anything. And ripen ourselves. Find the deepest, most humble of appreciation for the loving ways of being. By being so far separated from them. That's just part of the cosmic harmony here. We are gaining so much. Your eyes are being opened. It's only truth you're going to be able to see. Because it's time. The dream is changing. You won't be able to lay out there underneath the stars any longer and feel distance. That illusion is going away. We are gathered and joined with all life. All life is within us. And all of us are within the mother's heart. Projecting ourselves into this dream. This cosmic dream we call life on earth. For the value, the poetry, the beauty of the experience here. And the harder we've been on ourselves, the better we're going to be for it. That's just how it works here. The most separate will be the most together. And they'll be the cosmic magnet that draws us all back in to that sense of togetherness and brings peace on earth. Because you can't shoot what you're not separate from. When the heart is joined and gathered, all you see is yourself in everything and everything in yourself. It's a whole different way of being, babies. That's what's happening now. And you're being drawn to others of a similar nature. And you will join with them in ways you can't imagine. It happens in here first as you feel your heart start to open. Unspiraling the guardians we've held there in our sense of isolation, in our fear of one another. As that happens, as you open, automatically you're drawn. It might be to somebody 12,000 miles from you. It might be right next door. But you're drawn to another that all of a sudden you realize shares the same you as you do. It's like your cosmic other half. Yet, and it may not be the person you're with. Maybe somebody clear across the universe. You never know. But you'll be drawn to them and they'll be drawn to you. And also geographical places. We're being drawn home to the places of our original being, the magic places on earth, whatever you wish to call them. And all those places that have been so corrupted, all these secret underground bases and tunnels and all the treachery that goes on there, beginning to dissolve away. It's the illusion. We're not all these dinosauric critters and these draconians and whatever else we've chosen to portray here, to practice cruelty and what we call evil. We're not all those things. We are and we're not. It's an illusion. It's a part of us, and we're a part of it. It's a person, same as we are, with a heart. The more conscious you become of that heart inside of yourself, the more you're going to be able to see that in others. And these won't be words that I'm speaking. There'll be energies, conceptions. You'll understand and communicate, even on this little video, in a different way. It's called heart to heart. It's called opening. It's called experiencing truth. That's the recipe and the formula here now. So don't let all this cosmic disharmony going on around you shake you up or upset you. The children with the rattles make the most noise. They get to kick around and get their last little hurrah. But that's all it is. You folks over there in the Middle East fighting each other, you are the last hurrah. And one day soon, you're going to drop those weapons of war and destruction and propaganda. And you're going to embrace one another as you never have before. Because it's more than a brotherhood. It's more than a sisterhood. It's divine harmony. Experiencing the most cruel aspects it could possibly create in order to rehabilitate itself, to get these cosmic little babies that we are in a very creative space, so that we truthfully do expand and become the creative beings that we are and begin a more multidimensional form of creation. We already know the cosmic pitfalls of disharmony. And we won't create that any longer. We'll keep this experience on a shelf somewhere, and we can go back and check in with it any time. Others can come and read it just like a book. Be in it. Be living it. It's there. There's a lot of value here. You wouldn't believe how much we've gained. We haven't lost anything. And that's something you realize too. As you're drawn to these new people and new places, things begin opening up for you. But don't worry about, geographic distance, things like that. If you're far from a place you need to be or a person, don't worry about it. There is ways that we can move ourselves that we're barely beginning to see. But you'll awaken to them. And once you reach that state of being, no one can contain or control you ever again. No one would need to. Because you're in what we'd call the conscious state of fullness, the awareness of love in all beings, all things, all creation. And it doesn't get more peaceful than that. Get ready for a real ride this week, guys. But it's coming calm and beautiful because we're well prepared for it. Some of you may experience kind of a hysteria because the bottom's going to fall out from under you when you realize you have a heart that you thought you'd put away or was not even born with. And then all of a sudden you know. But along with that comes an awareness of the type of experience you've created here and of why you have done it and why you've allowed yourself to be controlled and contained by the cruel ones and to foment an ideology like that. How crazy. Yet, how cool in its own right, because you could be so down, so removed from life that you could despise it. God, that's a hard place. But here you are coming back from it, and you're going to be the magnetism that draws all life back into this beautiful and poetic place we call love. Don't get much better than that, guys. Papa loves you. Talk to you real soon.